They saw that I've surfed before, and it just really took one person to believe in me.
I really actually hated surfing because I remember we lived in a house share with all these housemates. They all surfed. And then I was this pasty ginger that didn't surf.
The ocean's got magical powers. I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you're having a bad day, you get in the water and your day will instantly become better.
Kirsten Diprose here with the Social Innovations Warrnambool podcast, brought to you by the Fletcher Jones Family Foundations. This episode has been recorded on the lands of the Gunditjmara people. This story begins on the beach in Warrnambool. It's 2021 and we're all going through the hardest lockdown yet. Everything has been cancelled. We're working and schooling from home, sport's been called off, even fishing and golf. The playgrounds are shut and you can only travel within a 5 or 10 kilometre radius of your home. But somehow, surfing was never cancelled. And of course, you didn't need to wear masks while you did it. And so the beaches of Warrnambool became a haven, and not just for the surfers, but the non-surfers too, looking for a reprieve from the confines of their home, and who quickly also fell in love with surfing and its therapeutic powers. Emma Keegan was one of them. She was 22 at the time, and was in a really difficult point in her life. She didn't have a secure home or any employment.
I think I just saw the flyer on Facebook, one of our local Facebook pages, and it was asking for volunteers. So I was like, oh, I really want to do that. That would be so good. I haven't surfed for a while. I really want to get back into surfing. And so, yeah, I signed up. I believe I was the only person on the wait list. And Chrissy put me through. So thank God for that.
Emma is talking about Chrissy Duncan, who is the coordinator of Stoked Surf Therapy, which is a learn to surf program for young people aged between 15 and 25. And yes, you get some good new skills, but it's also a coping strategy for mental health. So you hadn't surfed for a while. How would you describe yourself as a surfer?
Or beginner for sure. I'd surfed in high school. I'd done a bit of surf life saving, but I just didn't really have anyone to go surfing with. A lot of the surfers in my level were males.
And so what was it like being part of Stoked that first time you went? Because you can always nervous anytime you start anything new and there's going to be a whole bunch of new people. And how'd you get through that?
I was really nervous and shy, and I didn't speak to anyone. Chrissy found a mentor and just shoved them in my direction and was like, you can chat to this person. I don't really know if there was a way that I got over it. I just kept showing up. And by the end of it, I was chatting to everyone. And yeah, Chrissy said that my confidence had grown so much. And I guess that's something I didn't even really realize myself, that what the program had done for me until afterwards. But yeah, it was amazing.
Why did you keep turning up? What made you keep turning up? Because no one was forcing you.
I think, one, because I wanted to surf. I think that the people at Stoked, Chrissy and the mentors, they were really friendly. They were really nice. They had a lot of empathy as well. I had a lot of things going on in my life. I was a participant who was homeless. I was getting linked in with homelessness services. I was unemployed. I was struggling with my mental health. I had a lot of things going on. I was experiencing family violence. And so they were there and they listened what I had to say. And they didn't just see me as another brophy person, another person coming through services. It was someone who really just sat there and listened to me and believed in what I could offer as well. They saw that I've surfed before. Oh, you should definitely come back. And then after the program, they're like, oh, we should keep surfing together and you should come back for the next program. And it just really took one person to believe in me.
For Emma, that person was Chrissy. Of course, it's not really about how well you surf. Chrissy runs the program as part of her role with Brophy Youth and Family Services. She has the qualifications in social work, but she also understands what it's like to not feel included in the world of surfing, which from the outside can seem mostly male and even exclusive.
Well, how did you get drawn to surfing yourself?
So I moved to Warrnambool and then I moved into a house share. That's how I met my partner. So I very quickly picked up an Aussie surfer and then was spending a lot of time sitting on the beach watching him surf. And I really actually hated surfing because I remember we lived in a house share with all these housemates. They all surfed. I remember I had one housemate who was Spanish and she had that glowing tan and blonde hair down to her butt. And she was so beautiful. And then I was this pasty ginger that didn't surf. And the first thing in the morning, the conversation over breakfast, everyone would be like, what's the surf doing? Come home from work, they'd be like, what's the surf doing? Did you surf today? I'd wake up on a Saturday morning and they'd all be going early out for Donny to go surfing. And I hated it. I really resented it. I used to think, I hope there's no waves. I hope we all have a rubbish time. And then I felt, well, I really thought, oh, they just think they're so cool and all surfing all the time. But I suppose when I stopped pointing the finger at them and I started pointing the finger at myself, really, I just was feeling really left out. And there was a lot of self-doubt in there, but I'll never be able to do that. I might look a bit stupid. So I hated it for a long time. So it wasn't instant. And then I think I bought myself a foam surfboard for my Christmas and I went to some really nice gentle waves and I stood up and rode a wave and that was me.
So how did you get over that over time, about that feeling of looking silly or just being bad at something? Because we're all bad when we start something.
Surfing's hard. It looks cool. And I say surfing's like learning to play the guitar. It looks cool and looks really easy, but it's actually quite hard. You've got to practice and practice multiple times a week. Yeah, I loved it. I was determined and it was relentless. I just would go out by myself all the time and just wave after wave and spent a lot of time. I wasn't instantly good, but yeah, I got there.
So let's go back to those terrible COVID times. How did you then go from that idea of, oh gosh, we should get everyone surfing to actually making it happen?
Yeah, I think that the Fletcher Jones Foundation and the Southwest Community Foundation really were a lifeline. And we initially reached out to some of the bigger surf therapy organizations. Like it's quite a trendy thing, doing nothing new here. There's Ocean Minds, the Wave Project and a few others. And we were saying, could we do a program down here? But we didn't really have any money. And then the kind of idea to just run one ourselves, to use the local surf school, use our networks in the community and use all the specialists and professionals that we have at Brophy. Like we've got healthy relationships workers, we've got Headspace here. We've got alcohol and drug counselling services. Like we've got all these amazing people in the building. So we created our own framework and we come a long way since then.
So what is the program? How do you incorporate those mental health, more structured things as well as just the joy and relaxation of surfing?
Firstly, like the surfing component, there's so much emerging research about how this is so beneficial and therapeutic. So there's theories such as blue spaces and blue minds and the flow state of this kind of connection that we have to water and our brains have to water and how we feel when we are submerged or how we feel when we're in cold water. And the evidence is there that it improves physical and mental health. So it boosts your mood, it can treat depression, it can reduce stress, it can reduce anger, it can increase resilience and optimism, it can boost confidence, it can increase motivation. That's all research that says that. I'm not just making it up. And we can see it visibly. The difference between someone before a session and after the session is very different. So there's the actual practice of surfing. But then I suppose our program is not just about surfing. So every week we come together and we yarn, surf, eat. So we have a 25-minute yarn about mental health or healthy relationships or getting to know each other. Then we surf. And then we eat together. And the eating is coming together to connect on a big table. Everyone, the room's just alive. So we have participants and we have the surf school and we have Brophy staff, but we also have this wonderful bunch of mentors and they're the volunteers. So local people, lots of local surfers. We have teachers or doctors or nurses or truck drivers, tradies. They come and get involved as well. So there's maybe like 30 people in the room.
Before we get started, I'd like to introduce Rachel. I have recruited Rachel into our cult. Welcome.
So I arrive at the Warrnambool Surf Club to the excited chatter of 20 or so young people and around 6 mentors.
To clarify, this is actually not a cult. Please don't tell your parents I said.
They're all setting up for the yarning part of the Yarn, Surf, Eat formula.
So my name is Kayla Muggerman and I'm Community Awareness Engagement Worker for Headspace.
So what are you planning on doing here today?
So I'm facilitating a mental health session for the young people. So basically it will be a recording from Joey's lived experience story, which normally I will be able to facilitate with him, but unfortunately is unable to make it today. And then throughout the session we will also work in groups to answer the worksheet. So yeah.
Is that how a normal session runs? What do you do in one of these yarns?
Yeah, so everyone's different. I've been involved since the very start of Stoked, and this session has always been a real hit. It's something that we've kept going.
I notice it's a bit of a process, like everyone helped organise this and there's people in the kitchen now.
Yeah. It's from the very beginning, it's always just the young people get involved in the yarns, go out for the surf, but then also get involved in making the dinners and whatnot too. So it's not just, again, led by the staff, it's also the young people too. Yeah.
And so what are you talking about, or what's the presentation about today?
Yeah, Joey's lived experience story will talk about the risk factors he experienced with his mental health, the symptoms that he noticed within himself and family members noticed about him.
Joey is a young doctor at Southwest Healthcare who put together a short video speaking from both a personal and professional perspective.
I just wanted to chat to you guys today about my journey with mental health, and hopefully through this discussion we can springboard some more personal discussions about your own mental health, with the aim to sort of make it a little bit easier for everyone to discuss where they're at with their mental health, because unfortunately mental ill health is such a massive issue for young people in Australia and globally. And I think one of the main problems, or one of the main factors that contribute to such a high rate of mental illness in Australia is our inability to openly discuss it. And that's going to be something that's up to us as young people to hopefully make some changes. So yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about myself to get going. I've been in Warrnambool now since the start of 2020. Previous to that, I lived in Torquay for a few years, but originally from WA, and I'm a doctor here at the hospital. So I guess I'm talking to you today as a young person who has struggled with mental illness, but also from a professional perspective as well. Regardless of where you work in the hospital, people come in with mental illness, and so it's something that's really important for me as a professional to be able to discuss sort of mental health conditions openly and be open to hearing about them. The other important thing about me, and one of the other motivators for me being here and talking to you guys about mental illness, is that my family, it's a disease that runs in my family. A few of my uncles have suffered from really severe mental illness, and it's something that I guess I've been thinking about for a long time because of this.
Everyone is clearly captivated by Joey's story. Another young person who looks and sounds like they do. He explains that with hindsight, he could see several risk factors. Moving to a new town, not being able to meet new people during COVID, he had a relationship end, coupled with the stress of studying medicine, made life extra hard.
And basically what a risk factor is, it doesn't mean that you have an illness already, but it means that in having these risk factors, you're more likely to get the illness at some point. So for me, my risk factors for mental illness were being stressed at uni, being financially a bit hard up, being socially isolated. And the other thing I forgot to mention was that I injured myself. So I hurt my hip doing a silly indoor sort of workout or whatever, which is what everyone was doing in COVID back then. And it meant that I wasn't able to exercise. So I wasn't able to run, I wasn't able to ride, and triathlons is the main things that I do to be calm and at peace. I also wasn't able to surf, which is a massive one for me as well. So I wasn't able to do the things that I liked, basically. And I know a lot of people were going through similar things in COVID. So these were my risk factors, and they were the things that made me more likely to suffer from mental illness. So things were going pretty well, really, in 2020. I had these risk factors at play, but I felt like I was staying on top of things for the most part until about probably September or so in 2020. When I started to notice a real change in some of my behaviours. So typically I had been someone who really enjoyed socialising and had made new friends and moved down with a few friends from my previous life. But it was about this time that I stopped enjoying being around them. I chose to isolate myself from them and didn't really want to do the things I used to enjoy. My sleeping went right downhill as well. So I've always been a pretty average sleeper, but it was around this time that I was starting to really struggle with getting to sleep at all. And I just became a bit grouchy as well, just a lot less tolerant of different people and people doing things different ways to me, which is quite a problem when you're living with housemates.
As well. So if you want to jump in some small groups, and we'll do this for 5 minutes, and then we'll finish off the rest, and then we'll have a big group discussion.
What's so good about the yarn session is not only do participants get to hear a personal experience, but they get to break down what they've heard together in small groups to share things in a really safe and casual environment.
Symptoms of bad mental health could be even more isolation.
Okay, so should I write?
Yeah. Like mood swings.
Mood swings and changes.
I think it's just the connection between the young people and the mentors. So sometimes I come in at the very start of a program where they're all starting to learn and meet one another, and then you come in at the very end and you can see the connections being made. It's really lovely, and between the young people as well as the mentors. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. So who are the mentors?
So they're just volunteers that have got involved in the program and have heard about it and wanted to be involved. So they can be workers alongside the young people, but also just community volunteers that are really keen in the program and have heard about it and love it, so they've got involved. So.
And now it's time to hear the end of Joey's story.
End of 2020, I got the opportunity to finally see my family again. So I hadn't seen them since Christmas the year before, but we had organised to do the family holiday. We were all going to meet in Tasmania, which had its borders open to everyone at that stage. So got to Tasmania, and for some reason, I think I had been doing a fair bit of partying, I suppose, leading up to this time, and got to Tasmania, and I think I was just quite exhausted, and the symptoms that I were experiencing certainly weren't going away. They were actually getting worse. So I started to have panic attacks, which I'm sure some of you have probably experienced. And I think, obviously, my mum knows me pretty well, and she saw it in me straight away and was pretty concerned. And she's a doctor as well, and I think she really encouraged me to get help. She was talking to me about the ways that I could probably seek help back home, and she was trying to encourage me to look up some numbers of people that I could talk to, professionals that I could talk to, because there were her brothers that had really struggled with mental illness and had unfortunately lost their lives to suicide in the past. So it was something that she was really concerned about. But even being in the healthcare profession, there was these barriers that I could see between myself and my ability to seek help. And these barriers for me were how my friends might look at me, so how people might sort of view my need for help. Are they going to think of me as weak or unable to deal with life's challenges? One of the other things I was thinking about was what might happen with my career if people found out that I was struggling with mental illness. Is this going to be something that makes people not want to hire me? And how am I going to view myself as well if I feel like I need to seek help? Is that going to make me feel like a weak person? which of course it doesn't. But this is the thing with mental illness. There's these barriers that we, for the most part, fabricate, but are also reactions to the way that society sees mental illness. I suppose you could say my mum got through to me, and I saw the light at the end of the tunnel in the sense that I realised I needed to seek some professional help. So when I got back from my holiday in Tasmania, I put some wheels in motion. And it was really with the help of my family and also my friends who I chose to discuss my struggles with that I was able to do so. I really found strength in having those discussions with people I was close with. But I guess it's important for me to stress that everyone's journey to seeking professional help is going to be different, and it really depends on who you're comfortable with and what sectors of the healthcare system or the sort of mental health care system you're comfortable with or already linked in with. So we'll certainly talk about different options for people with Kayla after this next discussion. But for me, I had a really good GP, so someone in Warrnambool here who's actually since moved to Port Fairy, but a GP that I had a relationship with previously, like a really strong sort of professional relationship, someone that I really trusted. And I told him about what I was struggling with, and straight away he helped me set up a mental health care plan. So for me, it was sessions with a psychologist, but it can apply to other sectors of the healthcare system as well. And one of the other things that was really helpful for me was getting some medication. So it's important to know that medication will never be the whole solution. It's only ever going to form part of the solution. But for me, because sleeping was such a big part of one of my major symptoms, it became really important that I was able to get some good sleep. So I went on an antidepressant that also helps with sleep. And I think the important thing for medication for me was that it allowed me to feel a little bit better in the mean term while I was able to seek help that's more long lasting. Just something to keep in mind.
There are so many things that we can do for our mental health, but surfing today is the perfect one. So that was a bit of a heavy session, guys, so please do something for you tonight and enjoy the surf. So that's all from me. Thanks for engaging in the activity, and I wish I had Joey here in person, but thank you.
The group heads outside of the surf club, where the Port Fairy Surf School has set up with rows of surfboards and piles of wetsuits. Surfer Jaden Plummer is there to lend a hand.
Yep.
I run Port Fairy Surf School, born and bred in Port Fairy, and right now we're doing lessons for Brophy. It's a Stoked program.
Yeah. So you've been surfing your whole life?
I've been surfing pretty much my whole life. I started when I was 12, a bit older than some of these kids are now, and I'm 28 now, so 16 years and still learning and loving it.
We hear a lot about surf therapy. Do you reckon surfing is, therapeutic?
For sure, the ocean's got magical powers. I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you're having a bad day, you get in the water and your day will instantly become better. So surfing and riding the waves can definitely help empower the body, mind, and help you feel a million times better.
Are the kids any good at surfing?
It doesn't matter if they're good or not. It matters if they're... Some of them, the progress we see with some of the kids is actually fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. I'll let you get back to it. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you very much.
So Jaden calls the effect of surfing magical. Chrissy Duncan calls it a social prescription.
So that's an alternative to talking therapy. If someone had a brain tumor and they were really sick and they did a handstand and they sang and they felt better, that's really good. But the chances are, actually, no, it's impossible for them to get better without medical intervention. So they need to go to get medical intervention. But if someone's struggling with, anxiety or depression or low mood, and they do handstands and sing and they feel better, that kind of actually works. We live in this culture where if someone's got low mental health or not coping, you might go to the GP, and the chances are you're probably going to get suggested to try a bit of medication to keep you, to get you back to baseline, and then maybe try a bit of talking therapy, which is amazing. And there's a time and a place, and it's a great thing, but it's not for everyone, or not everyone might be ready for that. So the idea of social prescriptions is that there's alternative types of therapy out there, whether it be surfing or horse riding or gardening. I see Stoked as like a social prescription.
And it's all the different components of surf therapy, from the yarning at the start, the connectedness through the dinner, and the surfing itself, with its power on our brain's neurochemistry in that exposure to water and nature, and that flow state of doing something that you enjoy but is also still challenging, all coming together. And it's having a big impact on young people from all walks of life.
So that's another beauty of the program, is that there is a lot of diversity in the room, and it's such an inclusive program. So surfing is a draw card, and it brings, so we have a lot of LGBTIQA plus young people. We've got young people who are linked in with homelessness services or psychiatric services, or living in youth mental health residential services. We've got out of home care, kids in foster care, but then we've got deacon students, and we've got school students, or people that have just seen the poster who are equally in need. There's always participants in the group that have disabilities and higher support needs. So it's an absolute mix, and no one knows. I've picked up young people who've just been in court, and I've picked them up and said, I'll bring you bathers and a towel, and I'll get you so you don't miss the session. And no one knows. Everyone's equal. It's a program for everyone. And the mentors get just as much out of it as the young people.
What are some of the stories perhaps that participants have told you about how it's improved their lives or changed things that make you smile when you think back about why you actually do this?
Yeah, I think some of the most positive stories, for instance, just this week, we have a young person experiencing homelessness, and the mentors have used their own networks and community to find her somewhere to stay. And for me, that's the community looking after a young person. And that's amazing. We've had young people that actually don't leave the house, but they'll come and get involved with Stoke. We've had some parents say that one mum said, my son had a really difficult life, and this has just really turned it around. I think also what makes me pretty happy is when young people come up and they say, how do we do a job like you? How do I study community services, or how do I study social work?
And that's where Emma Keegan is now, whose own experience of Stoked surf therapy turning her life around has inspired her to pursue a career in community services. How are you now?
Oh, I am thriving. And Chris is going to hate me for saying this, but I feel like I owe it all to her and to Stoked in the program. I cannot imagine what my life would be like if I hadn't have gone and I hadn't have seen that poster on Facebook. Because, yeah, after I participated in that first pilot program, I came back for the next one as a volunteer mentor, and I started helping out. I started doing some filming and photography, and then I've been to every Stoked program since. But Chrissy helped me realize that community services is the area that I would like to go into, and she encouraged me to study in that field. I met some really great friends through Stoked. I got a job at Brophy in reception, and then I also then ended up getting a job at the foyer. So that's where Chrissy started off her social work and community services work at a foyer in Scotland, and then she worked at the foyer in Warrnambool. And so it was really nice to be able to, get that knowledge and experience from Chrissy and use that. And yeah, she really helped me to get to where I am now.
Wow, that's given you a sort of passion, career, probably a new friendship group, and of course, surfing.
Yeah.
That's a lot for the one program, really, isn't it, to deliver? What do you think it is about a program where surfing is the thing that you do, and yet you get all of these other benefits like the yarns and just all of that community connection and other things?
The surfing aspect definitely draws people in. And then everything else is just an added benefit. That's an added bonus. They don't maybe realize what they're getting themselves into. And I definitely, when I signed up to Stoked, I was just like, I'm there to surf and get free surf lessons. But then obviously, like, I got so much more out of it, so much more than I could ever have imagined. I met so many people, and I mean, yes, it was forced on me to like talk to other people, but I wouldn't change it. It was good for me. And we meet people where they're at Stoked as well. Like if we see someone's a bit shy, then we're not going to bombard them, but we're going to make sure that they've got someone around them and they've got someone to talk to, and they're not just standing there alone. Like maybe I would have been by choice if I had it my way at Stoked when I first was a participant.
It's funny, like surfing hasn't had the best reputation of being inclusive in the past, like particularly for women. Like it was very much seen as like a boys' club. And if you're in the in crowd and you knew where the best surf was, and it sounds completely the opposite.
Oh, it totally is. There's so much diversity at Stoked. And I think especially for me, it was really beneficial to meet so many other female surfers, all of the community members and mentors, volunteers that came along. It really showed me how strong like the female surfing community is here. And there's a long way to go. We still face a lot of discrimination and sexism, but it's really empowering to have other people go through that with you and share their stories, and to, yeah, just be there with you and be like, oh yeah, we'll go out for a surf this time. And it just, yeah, made me feel like I wasn't so alone in that.
Yeah. So you're working a bit for Stoked Surfing now. What do you hope to be doing in the next few years?
Great question. I don't know. I guess I would love to keep working for Stoked whenever they'll have me. Yeah, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm just at the end of my diploma of community services, so finish that off. And yeah, I would love to keep working for the surf school that I work for and just keep working with young people. I think, yeah, working with young people is my passion.
And as for Stoked itself, well, it's already won a swag of awards, including recently an award for celebrating diversity and inclusion at the Southwest Sports Awards. It's a testament to just how many facets of the community this program touches. But there are big plans still ahead.
If I dream big, then the future of Stoked would be to kind of grow the program. We'd have our usual Stoked programs, but I've got this dream of having a Stay Stoked club so that, you know, the past members can continue to surf and connect and stay connected. I would really love for like a sustainability model. To finding funding is a challenge, and the Fletcher Jones Foundation have been a real lifeline for us, but looking at more sustainable ways that we can keep the program running so I'm not always scrounging and writing grant applications that can take a long time. I think that also that idea of social prescription and growing Stoked, for those that aren't so keen on surfing, could it be hiking or could it be cycling, hunting? Yeah, riding horses, or maybe broadening the sort of yarn, surf, eat model, but maybe replacing the surf with whatever it is, knitting.
For all the stoked knitters out there that just feel stoked while knitting. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been great. Thanks.
And that's it for another episode of Social Innovations Warrnambool. Thank you to Chrissy Duncan, Emma Keegan, Kayla Muggovan, Jaden Plummer, and also to Joey for allowing us to share his personal story beyond the sacred space of the Stoked group, and to all the participants of Stoked Surf Therapy who are willing to show up every week and take up the challenge. As a freckled and pale-skinned, weak swimmer, I am truly inspired, and perhaps it's time I challenged myself in this space too. This is a Rural Podcasting co-production funded by the Fletcher Jones Family Foundations. If you've liked what you've heard, then please tell a friend. You can also give us a 5-star review. It really helps. And make sure you hit follow too so you don't miss an episode. My name's Kirsten Diprose, and I'll catch you next time.